What's going on, guys? Welcome to this fixed episode of Home Built Workshop. Today we are fixing the door seal on this smoker, but this also applies to wood stoves, pellet stoves, all kinds of stoves that take this sort of fiberglass or Nomex rope. Stick around, check it out. So I have a small vertical smoker that needs a new door seal put on it. This thing leaks like a sieve, lets all the smoke out the door instead of out the top. So I thought I'd bring you guys along for the ride, show you how to get it done, because this same procedure basically applies to lots of wood stoves, coal stoves, pellet stoves, lots of different smokers, and some certain barbecue grill applications. Basically anything that takes this little Nomex or fiberglass sealer. The first thing I would recommend you do is remove the door. Now for my particular application, this is really easy. The door just lifts off. There's no fasteners or latch or anything. Now depending on what you are working on, your specific application could be a little bit different, but I would recommend taking the door off, mainly because it's easier to work on if you can set it out on a flat spot. If you really can't get the door off, I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. It would be a little bit tricky though to keep the seal in place. Maybe you could use some tape or something like that. But if at all possible, I definitely recommend taking off the door. Before we start scraping off glue, we need to first remove the old seal. Now I can't demonstrate this step because, well, my old seal just fell off, but it should go something about like this. Now I've brought the door inside, and now we need to make sure that this area where we're going to install the new seal is nice and clean. Now some applications will have somewhat of a channel that the new seal will sit down in. This one just goes right along this edge. We need to use a scraper, a brush, whatever we can to make sure this surface is nice and clean so that the new gasket will stick to it. I started off with a scraper to remove the majority of the material, and then I switched over to a fine bristle wire brush to remove the rest. The biggest thing to keep in mind is that we need to remove any loose material that could prevent the new seal from sticking. And although the instructions didn't say to do it, I decided to use some mineral spirits to wipe down the surface. This removes a lot of the really fine dirt and takes the cleaning one step further. Now with the door all clean, we are ready to install the new seal, or rope as they call it in the kit. There's the kit that I have. It comes with 7 feet of the rope plus the cement. You can get these at a lot of hardware stores. You can order it online. I'll also put some links in the video description. For this particular application, mine is a 3/8 inch seal. That's what I'm going to be using. Depending on what you're working on, again, could be different. Make sure you try to order the correct one. Since this is 7 feet, it should be plenty to wrap out this door. Leave me a little bit left over in case I need to patch a spot in later on down the line. But let's pop this open, get this thing installed. And just in case you guys are wondering, this particular kit is made by Grapho-Glass. There are other manufacturers. Some of these are dark colored, some of these are light colored. Honestly, I don't think it makes any difference as long as we get this thing to seal up. Step 1, knead well before using. The very first thing we need to do is knead the tube of sealant. Based on my experience, it seems the adhesive gets clumpy in the tube, so I really think this is a crucial step. Even though I kneaded this for several minutes, I still had a few spots that got really clumpy when I was applying the sealant to the door. Next, we remove the cap and we need to cut the tip off at an angle. Now conveniently, this particular package has a line on here right where we can cut it. I've got a little piece of cardboard down here just in case it wants to spill all over the place. And now we need to carefully apply about an 1/8 inch bead of adhesive all the way around the door where we're going to stick the rope. This really wasn't all that difficult, but I did run into a few clumps that plugged up the tube, caused me to get a big blob of glue in there, but just smoothed it back out and it worked out okay. Honestly, it's tricky to run an 1/8 inch bead because the tip clogs up. Maybe I didn't knead it enough. It's fine. Now we just need to install the new seal by running it around and sticking it in the adhesive right along the channel where it needs to sit. We'll just cut it off with some scissors where the two ends meet. I used a little extra blob of glue right here just to keep the ends together. Now I'll just go back around the door and press the seal down into the adhesive. I want to make sure everything is stuck all the way around. And now we're basically done. Now the instructions for this particular kit say to let it sit for about 1 hour to air dry, and then sometime between then and the next 30 days you've got to put this through a heat cycle, which really means cranking it up, letting it get hot for about 2 hours, which somehow sets the adhesive. Now since you do have 30 days, you might not want to do this in the middle of summer if you're repairing a wood stove. Could get a little hot and uncomfortable, but if the heat's not an issue, go ahead and fire it up within the recommended time frame. For me, I'm going to let this sit for an hour, reinstall the door, which will keep pressure on the seal, and then sometime in the next couple of days I'll crank this thing up, get that adhesive set, and we'll be good to go. So there you go, this smoker door fixed. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. I hope this video helped you out. We'll see you next time.